Hello and welcome to the Cantilever Chat podcast, your unofficial home of all things Warrington Town. Plenty to discuss this week, including Hednesford Town, South Shields, Nantwich Town, the form of Josh Amis, Tony Gray, and does defence win games. I'm here joined by James, Oscar, and Rowan. Hello, everyone.
How you doing?
Plenty to talk about, so we'll go straight into it with the result of Warrington Town 3, Hednesford 1. You two were at the game. Oscar and James, how did it go?
I thought it was a good game. Kind of a routine win, one would say. The man in form, Josh Amis, got his double, and it was a good game to pick up a win against. Was it Hednesford? Were they in the league?
They were about mid-table.
So it was. You could say it was kind of routine, but at the same time, it was a tough game and good to come out on top.
Well, considering we lost to them as well earlier in the season, this was far more accomplished, far more of a better performance, and I think we thoroughly deserve the points. Josh Amis can't miss at the moment. It seems he scored. Dylan Vassalo as well, coming back into the first team picture a bit more. So it was a thoroughly good performance.
Talk about Dylan Vassalo. He returned against Gainsborough, scored then, and scored again against Hednesford Town. He was doing all right at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's doing well, and I think he was a bit unlucky to be dropped for South Shields. Whether it's just, I think it was more tactical more than anything, trying to get a bit more height into that team. But I think whenever he's come into the team and started, he's done well. He got those 2 goals in as many games, and I think he'll have a big impact now between now and the end of the season, especially if Jack Dunn's injury, which we'll come on to later, if that proves to be anything big, then he will have more of a say.
And it was a good run heading into South Shields, a top-of-the-table clash against promotion rivals. James, myself, and you were there. How did you find it?
Yeah, a good game for us. Biggest win of the season so far, I'd say. We started well, taking a lead, 1-0, then 2-0. Josh Amis on the score sheet, and then we conceded the goal. But second half, we just hauled out and defensively, I think it was the best performance of the season.
Well, they were a very good footballing side, weren't they? They passed it round with real confidence. I think we were hanging on a bit at the end, but I know talking to Dave Raven, Tony McMillan, Mark Roberts afterwards, they all said performances sometimes they don't have to be flashy. It's about digging in, making sure you get the result, and I think they really had to do that for the last 5 minutes, especially.
You mentioned, sorry, go on.
When you're getting credit from even the South Shield fans as well, you know you've played well and you're definitely up there. They're all saying, we hope you do well for the season, and it's definitely going to be between us, Farsley and South Shields at the top of the division.
About saying they definitely deserve that applause as well at the full-time whistle off the South Shields fans, because it was probably the hardest performance of the season. It wasn't maybe not the best performance, but in those circumstances, with that kind of an atmosphere, that kind of a crowd, against a team that had, I think, before Bamber Bridge, which was their home game previous, had won 21 in a row.
Mate.
Yeah, and then the fact that they went to South Shields, and South Shields fans hadn't really seen anything like that before for a long time, and we went there, we played our game, and we executed that game plan perfectly.
Warrington Town put everything on the line in the last 5 minutes, but we'll start at the start. As you say, Dylan Vassalo was benched, and we saw Bowen Dixon return to first team. A bit of a surprise in the first team selection, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, personally, I think Bowen Dixon, he's got a lot of quality, but he struggles to apply himself sometimes. You'll see in a game he'll do a flash of brilliance, but then you won't see him for the rest of the game. Against South Shields, he had plenty of runs down the right-hand side, and it was actually a disciplined performance in the end.
And that's kind of the most frustrating thing almost for him, because you as you said, you know he's got that quality. It's just about whether he does that week in, week out, and he can keep those kind of performances, not just for a 5 or 10 minute burst. It's about doing it all the way through, because as we know, he's played at a higher level. He's got the quality, but sometimes he doesn't show it for long enough sustained periods.
He's one of those players that you struggle to find a position. He's best, in my opinion, behind the striker, but the system we're playing at the minute with Tony Gray playing there behind Big Amis, you can't really replace Gray. So a place on the right hand side, if it's disciplined and he does his work tracking back and he can have moments of brilliance, then why not keep him in the team?
Bowen Dixon, Mark Roberts, Jack Dunn, some great performances, but the best of the day has to go to James Messenger for his match day vlog.
Oh gosh, hated it.
How did you enjoy that?
Oh, it wasn't. When getting some stick off the 16-year-old South Shields fans, it's not the best, but it was
Man.
it was good. Somewhat different. Wanted to provide everyone with an overview of the day, and it's a good job we won, because I know in that video we said, didn't we, about before kick-off, would we take a 0-0 draw? I think you said, Josh, yes, we would, because of the magnitude of the game. You want to, the first and foremost, you want to make sure you don't lose. And the fact that we won was just an added bonus, and it helped the video as well.
Everyone was there with the camera as well. You were stood with the crowd. At some point, there was a fan with a mask on. What was that all about?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he's iconic for Yellows fans. I think his name's Rob, but yeah, he had the mask on, ready for the game, putting up all the flags and everything. And yeah, that away support really showed that we actually are a big team in this league, and we have the support there. So
it's a legend of Warrington Town as well, isn't he, Rob Warburton?
Exactly, what a man.
With his mask. Then we move on. Warrington Town 3, Nantwich Town 3. Roberts' first goal of the season. Amis, and then a last-minute goal by Gray.
Man, that was a mad game from the off. It was literally, so when the game first started, as Gray said when I spoke to him after the game, Warrington were a bit slow off the blocks. And it showed because they took the lead. Then they got a penalty. Things were probably just moving a bit sluggish, but they ended the half, I think, was it 3-2 ahead? They were 3-2 ahead.
3-2 ahead.
Yeah. And then in the second half, you can kind of tell it's like we kind of got that kick in the backside and like, let's come on. We're fighting for something here. Let's not give in. And then it showed. And luckily, we got the last minute goal through Gray. And yeah, man.
Yeah, not for the first time as well this season.
Yeah, that's because was it Lancaster?
Yeah,
the draw,
last
and he
minute
scored
free
that
kick,
banger.
yeah.
So yeah, he's got a knack for getting all these late equalisers, and it would help. It will help during the end of the season when hopefully we'll be right at the top.
I was speaking to Paul after the game, and he was saying that first half performance just wasn't the Warrington Town of this season. We obviously conceded penalty. Tony McMillan does brilliantly to save that penalty, by the way.
That was a good save.
3-1 down, and then their third goal were stunning. Top corner, half volley. And I think Paul said at half time how he was just telling them about, we're at the top of the league, lads, what we're playing at, and then give them the kick up the backside that they needed in the second half.
Well, that must have been, I think, I don't know if you guys agree, that must be the first time all season that I've seen Warrington's defence be essentially run ragged, and that applied to the two in midfield as well. It's not very often you've got Sean Bealey and Ben Garrity being overrun in the midfield, and Dave Raven and Mark Roberts, who are always so solid at the back, they were kind of having to deal with the two Nantwich front men, and I think that made it a little bit difficult. But I think once they'd had that team talk, they'd had a bit of time at half time to compose themselves, and the second half, Warrington came out with a real purpose. They came out really wanting to get back into the game, and they did. They actually had chances to win it as well. They had Ben Garrity had a couple of chances, a couple of headers that went over, but overall that second half, I don't know on the balance whether we deserved a win, but I'd certainly take a draw from those circumstances.
First half they were definitely on top, but that second half, like Carden said, we limited them to hardly have any chances on goal at all. And we had a few chances through Amis and Garrett, like you said, in that second half, and then we just kept pushing. We weren't at his best, but that's a sign of the team winning titles. If you can get a result when you're not at your best, that's what you need.
Exactly, and the big disappointment of the day was obviously not seeing Ricardo Fuller come on. I was very looking forward to that.
When I saw him on the team sheet before, I was like, oh right, this is a Premier League star, and then the fact that he didn't come on and they needed it in the second half because they couldn't really do anything.
Yeah, they needed something different, didn't they? And he could have been the man.
It was quite surprising because he only made one sub in the whole game, and when they've got him on the bench, they've got someone Smith, I think he's called, who played in Star Six's tournament a few weeks ago. Though him and Fuller have got a combined age of 80, so I'm not saying they've got a young front line, but they've got experienced guys who'll come off the bench and do something. But it's quite weird because I think saw Ricardo Fuller at half time. He did 5-minute warm up, appeared to pull something, went back inside to the changing rooms, came out 5 minutes later running again. I don't know what happened in there, but
I think he's on a pay as you play.
He must be
You
surely.
want to play him, so save some money.
Maybe a slight fall from grace from Stoke a few years ago, and now he's turned out at Cantilever Park.
But Nantwich were definitely one of the best teams I've personally seen play Warrington Town this season. Obviously, they beat us 1-0 earlier on. But, them along with South Shields and Buxton, I think definitely the best teams we've played.
Well, a lot of the teams that we've seen play as well, that we think have been good, they've been really good in the first half. So like think back to Buxton, if a game's 45 minutes long, they'd be really good because the fact that when they came to our place, they absolutely overran us because they had the big striker, didn't they? I can't remember what his name was, but
Simpson, I think.
And he was just running the show. You could tell that he played at a high level. So he was just dominating our back line.
But I think that's what's good about us. We have that experience to know like the matches for 90 minutes. Teams come thinking, oh, if we set off quickly, we can beat these. But we know the full 90. That's what it's all about.
Well, do you think fitness is a big issue, or not issue? A big thing for us this year. The fact that we know that we got that fitness in the bag, so we know when it comes to the later stages of the game, we can keep pushing on. I think you just look at our bench at the weekend. You look at the players that we had at our disposal. You got Robbie Evans, who didn't even have to come on, I don't think, and you've got Conor McCarthy, he didn't appear, and you got that kind of talent who aren't even coming onto pitch. Dom Reed, who didn't even make the match day squad. We've got a lot of players at our disposal.
Definitely, that's what you need at this league down there, with teams not having the thinged squads. That some teams can't even fill out a full bench. So for us to have over like 5 players that don't even make the bench, it's what you need. Jack Dunn obviously picking up hamstring injury, as what it looks like. Not good news, is it?
Couldn't have come at a worse time, could it? And I mean, I suppose the only saving grace for us, as we said, that squad depth. You look at the people in his position who can come back. Got Dylan Vassala, who's chomping at the bit to get in the team again. Jack McCreth, who's coming back now. He's ready to feature a little bit more. You got Dom Reed, so we're not short on players. I know he's not really been around a lot, but if it came to it, we got. I think you mentioned Tom Summers, who we saw a long way back at the start of the season. He was very promising against Stockport in the Senior Cup. We've got some young players. I think a few weeks ago we had a striker from the under-21s or the academy side who was training with us before the game. So because the one who looked like Izzy Brown, yeah. Because we didn't know who he was, but we got told that he's rated highly by Paul Carden, by the coaching staff there. So we've got those young players who can all step in.
Talking about star players, we can't do a podcast without mentioning him. Keep James happy. Josh Amis.
Oh, what a man.
Joint top scorer now with Tony Gray. I believe it's 10 in the last 8.
Yeah, 10 in the last 8. He's been on fire.
We'll let James talk about him. James knows everything about the man. Go on,
I
James.
wouldn't go that far, but
What do you have for breakfast this
When was he born?
Gosh, it's like
Which
21.
hospital?
It's like 21 questions, isn't it? No, it's done well recently. You wouldn't have thought from the start of the season, the striker that we saw then and the striker that we're seeing now, it's like a different person. Paul alluded to his movement. His movement's far better now. And whereas at the start of the season it maybe took him 2 or 3 times in front of goal before he scored, now it's 1 chance, 1 goal, and I think he's probably the most informed striker in the league.
Has to be.
He's got to be. I don't know who to be, because since the turn of the year, it's like must have been his New Year's resolution to start banging in every game. But it's been superb, and I think he's really spearheading our front line with great aplomb at the minute.
My highlight of him is Rowan. You did a perfect post-match interview with him. You were like, this way a bit, that way a bit. You were getting him lined up for the perfect shot, and then went, actually, can you go pick up the match day ball? Left the shot, picked up the ball, and he was like 10 minutes wasted.
After his brilliant performance at Grantham, he just wanted that interview. We haven't got him on video yet, so we had to get the match ball involved, and yeah.
About saying after you messed him about for about 10 minutes with that match ball, I don't want to speak to you again.
I'm surprised he carried on.
He should have went.
You're just blank, you know.
And with the form of Amis, you could say it's a lot less pressure now for Tony Gray, who has come in his. I think his form has improved as well.
He seems to be relishing playing behind the striker, because he's got that. We've spoken about it before. He's got that time where he can float around a little bit. He can influence play further back. But I think also one thing I've noticed in recent weeks, in the air, I think he's been winning a lot of headers when the ball's been coming forward. We're not totally reliant on a miss to win the header, because Tony's been leaping well. He's been keeping the ball, and then we've got possession further up the park. But I think, yeah, he's been a real standout in recent weeks. He's one of our most informed guys. Don't matter how old he is, he's still got it. He plays every week near enough, and he just seems to be getting better as the season goes.
And he doesn't shy away either. He scored on the weekend. I think he had an assist at Gainsborough. I think his form's been really good at the minute.
Yeah, and that's what you need in your front men. Obviously, you've got Amis scoring the goals, so Gray's just been constant all season, really, hasn't he? Grabs the goals where the importance, the last minute equalisers, and the goals where it's just say we just need a goal, and Gray's always there. He's been reliable. What do you think of his Oscar?
No, as you just touched upon there, I think throughout the season, since we started covering Warrington, he's just always had that steady performance. If he's not getting a goal, he's either assisting his partner up top. And I know this is a bit early to talk about it, but I'll say that he could have a strong case. Obviously, Amis is having a
Watch where you're going with this. Oh.
But I'd say if we had to consider the whole the season as a whole, I'd say he's a strong contender for player of the season.
Big shout.
There's a lot of players.
Obviously, it's Josh Amis.
I'm fuming with that. No, I think there's only one player who I think should get player of the season. I think it's Ben Garrity. Because considering where he was last year, as much as everyone else has been good, he's come from not playing at a professional level, and I think he's been our most consistent player.
I'd have to go with Big David Raven. So far.
Oh, you love Dave Raven.
Oh my God.
He's a good.
Got his phone number and I won't shut up about it.
He's just glad he can take the mick out of someone else.
I know, yeah.
Keep an eye out for the upcoming feature with David.
But I agree with James. Even though I've said Tony Gray, Gary has also been a solid performer throughout the season, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was awarded with player of the season.
I'll say going back to Dave Raven as well. With I don't know, people saw. I think it was over the weekend. Did the interview a while back with Josh Amis, a sit-down feature. Then he bangs the perfect hat trick. Then you did the feature with Mark Roberts, gets his first goal of the season. I saw someone in the comment section saying that we need to do one with Tony McMillan, but I think that might be pushing it a little bit.
Was he going to score a goal?
Well, he got the assist, didn't he, at the weekend? He flicked. He flicked onto. Yeah, did you miss that? Yeah,
I missed that one. Yeah. Sorry.
Tony McMillan getting a goal assist. It was very good. I thought he was going to do a diving header into the top corner, but
I wonder if that's his first of his career.
I'll have to ask him after one of the games this week.
There's your feature right there, Josh.
There you go.
Tony Mack assists his first ever goal in how long of his playing career?
He's 38, so
he's been playing for a minute.
20.
So that much.
Wow. Yeah, a long time. From forwards to defence, just 24 goals conceded this year. And I rise the question: does defence win you games? Look at the 2017-18 season. Altrincham won that. They conceded 42 goals, which was the least that year. Blythe Spartans conceded 44 in 2016-17, again the least. Darlington 42 the season before that, and SC United just 37 goals in the season 14-15.
Oh, someone's been doing the research. Round of applause for that. Well done.
So does defence win you games, and will Warrington's defence win them the league?
Wow.
Oh, that's a statement, isn't it?
Oh wow.
I'll give you a second to think if you want.
I'll say it's a tough one because with the fact that if you would have asked earlier in the season, would the defence win us the league, I would have said no because admittedly we had the good defence, but then up top we weren't scoring, so it's all well and good keeping the clean sheets, but it was a lot of 0-0s and a lot of 1-0s, whereas now because we're scoring as well, I think while the goals are flowing and we've got our attacking players getting into the game more, I think it helps to have that sturdy back line who don't concede. Obviously, Nantwich maybe a bit of a blip because obviously they're a good attacking team. But I think over the course of the season, the amount of blocks, the amount of challenges I've seen flying, especially against South Shields, we saw Mark Roberts' nose afterwards putting his body on the line.
Everything on the line in the last 5 minutes there, yeah.
Exactly. So when we've got a defence who's that passionate about keeping the ball out of the net, you're only going to succeed.
I think that experience at the back with Raven and Roberts has really helped us because if you look at other defences around the league currently, it doesn't seem like they have that leader and experience figure that we've had. If you look at Mark Roberts' career, he was playing in Forest Green Rovers recently, League 2 team, drops down to Warrington because location's easier for him. David Raven won the Scottish Cup in 2015 with Inverness.
Wonderful goal as well in the final, wasn't it?
Brilliant goal.
That was a very good goal.
Check that out on YouTube.
And then he was playing at Wrexham in the National League, so he drops down 2 divisions for Warrington Town. So I think for Paul Cannon to assemble that defensive powerhouse at the back, that's what you need with those two.
Yes or no? Does defence win your leagues?
I'd say if you look at like say the Premier League.
This is a long yes or no.
Yes or no, right? No.
Yes, I'd say so. You need a good defence.
Yes.
Yes. 3 versus 1 there.
On and off.
Yeah. See you later.
Can we now, we are fans, James was a fan before this project started, but us three now become fans. Can we start believing of, title glory?
Of course. I honestly, I'm not going to say who I support, but I would say...
Arsenal.
Yeah, wow. No, but I would say I've definitely... my allegiance has kind of swayed towards Warrington.
Oh,
It actually has. Yeah, because we're not doing that great. But no, but I honestly think we can do well. Carry on with Mark Roberts and Raven at the back. Amis, keep it up with the goals, and then why not?
But the only thing that I think we have to bear in mind is looking at the run-ins, the fixture list. I think arguably on paper, Farsley have got the easiest run-in. They've got a couple of difficult games, and as we know, anyone can drop points. They lost 1-0 to Witton Albion, who had a man sent off. Farsley missed a penalty. It just didn't seem to be their day at the weekend. But if they have that nicer run of games, they can build a bit of momentum. But I'll say I still think it's a 4-horse race. Any one of the top four have still got a great chance because anyone can beat anyone in this league.
Do you definitely think Nantwich are up there with the top three at the minute, although they're like 7 points behind?
Yeah, they're a bit behind, but you never know. Once they pick up a couple of wins again, the confidence could grow a little bit. And I don't know, there is a little bit of a gap, but then you know that teams on the day, if they're not playing well, they lose, they drop points, and that was epitomised by Farsley. So it only takes a few games, a few wins, and that builds the confidence. You look a bit further down the tail, there's no reason why some of the other teams maybe not
Scarborough's dropped off of it. They were
exactly.
leading the league.
And there's no reason why a lot of these teams that are a little bit further down, if they, in their last 10, 11 games, can pick up 20, 30 points, they're right up there into, not necessarily for the top spot, but they can catapult themselves to the playoffs. And I think that just shows how fiercely competitive this league is.
After playoff disappointment last year, losing 3-0 to Grantham in the semi-finals, do you think winning the league's crucial for Warrington instead of dropping down at those playoffs again?
Yeah, because I think you look at, out of all those top four, and then obviously whoever finishes fifth, whether it be Gainsborough, Scarborough, maybe even Basford Hyde, whoever mounts a challenge, you think those playoffs are going to be tough, because if you think about it, in one scenario you could have Warrington, you could have South Shields, and you could have Nantwich, assuming, say, everyone wins all the rest of the games and Farsley top the league. In that playoffs, Warrington, South Shields, Nantwich, who's your back? It's a tough call, and we've seen all of them play this year, and on the day, anyone can beat anyone. You've got the free score in South Shields, you've got Nantwich, who have an abundance of experience, you've got Warrington, who have the goals, they also have the defence. It's just who performs well on the day. And I think last year, Grantham did really well towards the end because they built a lot of confidence, so they weren't necessarily right up there for the whole season, but then in the last 5-6 weeks, they picked up win after win after win, and everyone wanted to avoid them, because they knew they were in that much confidence that there was going to be no stopping them.
I think it's one of them, isn't it? You want to get that sealed off. You don't want to be having to play a form team coming through in the playoffs where it could go either way. So to seal the title would be remarkable for Warrington. Yeah,
and I think that the main thing is kind of, if it does happen and we don't win the league but we end up in the playoffs, I think we need to ensure that we get that home tie. Because I don't know about you, if it's a midweek game, I really wouldn't fancy going to South Shields away Tuesday night, and because we know how good they are at home, especially Nantwich as well. We've already lost to them on a Tuesday night this season, back in, I think, September. So it's going to be tough. You don't know. There's going to be a lot of twists and turns between now and the end of the season, but the essential one is making sure it's the top three.
Talking about long Tuesday nights away, let's preview the action ahead. Workington Town for you two, James and Rowan tomorrow. Looking forward to the journey up north.
Yeah, by the time this podcast's out, the game's probably happened. But yeah, it's a big trip up north. Setting off at 3:00, so could get back at that 1 or 2. But working at the second bottom.
Rowan needs his 12 hours sleep, doesn't he?
I'll take it. But working at second bottom, so it's a game you really fancy. If Warrington want to win the league, they have to be winning this type of game.
Yeah, we need 2 from 2 with this one, and then is it Mickle over on Saturday? We need 6 points because we need to keep building that pressure. It's no good slipping off for a couple of games, because you see how the table is now. You slip off for a couple of games, you're right back down to 3rd or 4th, and I think nothing less than 2 wins will do. But as Witton proved at Farsley, doesn't matter where you are in the league, that counts for nothing if it's not your day.
Let's finish off the podcast with some predictions. You say this might be out before after tomorrow's game. But let's predict it anyway. Workington Town versus Warrington. Oh, sorry, Workington AFC versus Warrington Town. Mixed up with the rugby league team. Predictions?
Yeah, I think I'm predicting a strong Warrington win tomorrow night. I'd go 3-0. Amis to get on the score sheet and
Good lad.
Dixon to maybe get one.
I'm saying I agree 3-0 or 3-1. I would say Amis twice and then Gray.
Yeah, I'm
James?
gonna say 3-0, and I think it'll be Gray, Amis. I'm gonna say Dylan Vassalo.
See, I'm going to go the other way. Workington have won. Well, not the other way. I'm going to go either 0-0 or 1-0. Workington have won the last 3 and 5. Warrington having a quick turnover. It's a 3.5, 4 hour journey up north. You're going to be tired, so you're either looking at a 1-0 or a 0-0.
It could be a close game.
And if it's 5-0, then I will never put this out. All right, okay. Thanks for listening for another podcast, episode 7, where should be out soon. And I think it'll be one more after this.
Yeah.
And I think the
That's
project
it.
is over.
Then the Cantilever chat is no more.
Yeah.
Some player awards definitely going to be
I
going on.
think we'll have an end of the project sort of review, won't we? And I think we'll have to do some more quizzes. But thanks for listening, and see you again soon.
Right.
See you later.
Yeah.